Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, February 22nd. It is the feast of the chair of St. Peter. What's your favorite chair in your house? Do you have one? Do you like chairs and how they are positioned in your living room, or maybe the side room that you use for just a TV room? You know that you're an empty nester now. Sometimes people have a room that they just have their TV in, and it's next to your bedroom, and you have a nice chair. Or how about your dining room chairs? Do you have your favorite set, I'm sure, in your house, and your kitchen chairs? Chairs are important because when we gather, we want to sit down, don't we? We want to sit and enjoy like a nice table like this and chairs. I'm in the business manager's office, Mary Beth O'Connor. She has a beautiful office here in the parish office center on the second floor. And I want to talk to you about the chair of St. Peter. You know, this feast today that we celebrate. Jesus says to Peter, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld will not prevail against it. To you I entrust the keys of the kingdom. Whatever you bound on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." That all occurred at Caesarea Philippi when Jesus asked the disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" They were saying, well, some say that you're John the Baptist, others Elijah. Still, others are saying that you're one of the prophets. He says, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter says, "You are the Christ. You are the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him, "Simon, son of Jonah, no flesh or blood told you this. It was my Father in heaven that told you this. From now on, you will be known as Peter." Because Peter means rock. "And upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld will not prevail against it." The papacy. There it is. Peter, the first pope. Peter, the first pope. How many popes have there been, everybody? Pope Francis is the 266th pope. The 265th successor of the Apostle St. Peter. And the beautiful gift of the papacy, Jesus says to Peter, "You are the rock. You are the rock that I'm going to build my church, and the gates of the netherworld will not prevail against it. To you I entrust the keys of the kingdom. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." What does that tell us? That tells us about papal infallibility. Have you ever heard of that? Infallibility. That the Holy Father, when he speaks on areas of faith and morals, he speaks directly from Christ, and there is no error in that. He's speaking from the chair of St. Peter, the chair of Peter. So the papacy, the authority that the papacy has from Jesus Christ. This moment in today's gospel, Matthew chapter 16. Beautiful. "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld will not prevail against it." You know, how true is that? All these years from the time of Christ to now, the church is still alive and active. This church still has its mission. It didn't fall apart. Even though our Lord entrusted it to humans, it did not fall apart. The church is still the very presence of Christ among us. In fact, the church is seen as a sacrament. It's an outward sign instituted by Christ to give grace. Remember we talked about the miracles being sacraments? So the church is a sacrament. The Second Vatican Council clearly told us that. The church as sacrament, as the outward sign instituted by Christ right here. Today's gospel, you heard it from Matthew's gospel. You are Peter. You're no longer Simon. I'm changing your name, which is another biblical important fact that we need to know. When Jesus changes a name, when God the Father changes a name, it's very important. The fact that we have a name that is not pagan goes in direct connection to this. The name is sacred because the name tells us of our identity. So mom and dad, when you name your children, it's of very, very high importance. I always say, people, make sure you name your children that has a particular meaning, especially in faith, because then you're going to present this baby for baptism. What does it mean? It's very important. Very, very important. And then always to tell your children about that name, about why we named you what we named you. So Simon, son of Jonah, you will now be known as Peter, because Peter means rock. And I tell you now that upon this rock I will build my church. Peter, you will be at the head of the apostles. When you all get together after I die and rise and go back to the Father, you, Peter, must gather the apostles together and hold it together. They need to go to you, Peter. They need to go to you. What do we believe? How do we express that belief? How is it articulated? Peter, you are in charge of the visible church. Christ, who is head of course, the entire church as well, but the invisible head, Peter, in charge of the entire church visibly. And Peter's successors, all down the line to today, the 266th Pope. Beautiful, isn't it? Unbelievable. The amount of responsibility of carrying the faith. Not just like there's a God, but what do we understand him to be? Do you pray the Nicene Creed every Sunday with us at Mass? Who do you think put that together? The Council of Nicaea. But the Pope was there, along with the bishops, the other apostles. See, the bishops are successors to the apostles. Do you know that? They're successors to the apostles. And the Pope stands as Peter among them. And Peter must give his okay to what is believed and taught as revealed by God in the matters of faith and morals. So today, the church celebrates the papacy. The chair of St. Peter is more than just a functional chair that you sit on. The chair represents Peter's authority in the church. His authority to teach, to govern, and to sanctify. To teach, to govern, and to sanctify. That's his responsibility. Feed my sheep. Tend my lambs. It's very important that Peter understands this. Even to this day, the cardinal who is chosen to be the Pope changes his name. A new responsibility. John Paul II, his name was Karol Wojtyła. John Paul I, Albino Cardinal Luciani. Paul VI, Giovanni Cardinal Montini. John the 23rd, Angelo Cardinal Roncalli. Pius XII, Eugenio Cardinal Pacelli. The Holy Fathers take a name change because of what Jesus did in the gospel with Peter. You are no longer that person. You don't go by that identity. Your identity is wrapped into the papacy now. Oh, you still have your name, but you take on a new name. It's just like us with confirmation. My baptismal name is Louis, but my confirmation name is Paul. I use that all the time. Do you ever see me write my name? Louis P. I always put it. Bellopede. I don't have a middle name. My middle name is my confirmation name. It's very important. It's very important to me. And I'm sure to all of you. Your confirmation name, the new name, as you continue to be on mission for Christ. So today the church celebrates the chair of St. Peter. So what does that mean? It's more than just a functional chair. Of course, it's the chair in which has an extreme importance of handing on the faith, the morals of Jesus Christ as revealed by God to the entire church. What do we believe? I told you about the Nicene Creed. What do we believe about the Eucharist? What do we believe about Mary? What do we believe about the resurrection? What do we believe about the apostles? What do we believe about the sacraments? What do we believe about heaven, purgatory, hell? What do we believe about all that? Can every Catholic articulate to another Catholic what we actually believe? What do we believe about the Mass? It's from the chair of Peter, in union with all the other bishops around the world, those successors to the apostles, that articulate clearly the faith and morals revealed by God. What do we believe about medical issues? Nutrition, hydration, when we're lying in a bed, is it morally acceptable to pull the plug? What does the church say about all that? What does the church say about nutrition and hydration with people dying? What does it say about organ donation? Do we know what we believe as a church? And why do we believe what we believe? Do you own a catechism? The Catechism of the Catholic Church was promulgated by Pope John Paul II. There's been a couple of revisions by Pope Benedict and Pope Francis. Very important, the chair of St. Peter. So it's not a functional chair, like I began in my talk about, what's your favorite chair in your house? What do you like? How do you like it? Where do you sit? What's comfortable? This chair is not necessarily falling in line with that. It's not about comfortability. It's about responsibility. That's very clear. And I say the chair, even from the word cathedral, the word cathedral means cathrida. And what does that mean? The house or the church of the chair. Did you know that the word cathedral means the church of the chair? The house of the chair. Whose chair? The bishop, the archbishop. So in the cathedral, there is a chair. It's not just simply where the archbishop sits during Mass. It's something very symbolic. Symbolic that is connecting him to the chair of Peter. The archbishop is a successor to the apostles. So is Pope Francis a successor to the apostles, but he has been chosen as the head of the successors of the apostles. And so Archbishop Perez, when he speaks only in union with the church. Every parish church has a priest chair, right? Once again, it's not to be seen as a functional chair. Someone get a chair for the priest or he's going to sit on the floor. No. The chair that the priest sits upon is very much connected to the archbishop's chair at the cathedral. Because every pastor is connected to the archbishop. Because I'm nothing without my bishop. He's the one who sent me here. I represent him here. And so the chair that I sit upon in church, I'm reminded of the teaching, sanctifying, and governing authority that the Archbishop has in this local community called the Archdiocese of Philadelphia that I'm part of. And that's connected to the chair in the cathedral. And his chair is connected to the Pope's chair. Teaching, sanctifying, governing, all in the name of Christ. to teach authentically the gospel. And how is that applied? And how is that interpreted for us today? What does it mean? It's not your opinion, your opinion, your opinion, your opinion. Because, you're going to have Catholics that say that. Well, I think... No. See, that's why Jesus gave us Peter and his successors. Because Jesus knew all this was going to happen. He knew it all was going to happen. Well, I think this should be this. I don't agree with that. No. What does Peter say? In union with the other bishops, the successors to the apostles. That goes even on today. People say, I don't agree with that. Well, you're not Catholic then. You're not Catholic. That's why there's a big problem with abortion and certain people who are Catholic who are for abortion. How can you be for abortion if you're Catholic? You're not Catholic. You're only Catholic in name. But you're not Catholic in fact and in deed. I'm sorry. Well, I shouldn't apologize. I mean, that's the way it is. Life begins from conception all the way to natural death. What does the church believe about life? I just told you. We believe that it begins at conception and ends at natural death. You can't profess something different because you're breaking communion with the church. You're taking yourself away from the altar, the table of the Eucharist. You have broken your relationship with the deposit of faith. Now, we talked about this many times. This is not the first time you're hearing this. You may disagree with the church, but the church has a responsibility to teach the faith as those things that are revealed by God. And Peter has an obligation, Peter and his successors, 266 of them, to make that statement. To make sure that the faith is transmitted to God's people. Right? So the chair of Peter is not just symbolic. Oh, I guess this is a feast about, Peter, I guess he sat on that chair. I don't know what people may think. I don't know. People think, the chair of Peter. Did he sit on it? No, it's symbolic. Peter is the first pope. Jesus made him the first pope. Jesus gave him authority to teach, sanctify, and govern. Whatever you declared bound on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you declare loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Jesus gave Peter and his successors the authority to continue the church, to be the visible head. Christ will go to the Father. He's the invisible head of the church, right? That's a great responsibility, isn't it? Wow. And so, what do we believe about? Wow, there's a plethora of stuff, right? And I just named a few things with you. I named about the sacraments, the Mass, medical, moral issues, human sexuality, embryonic stem cell research, We could go on and on and on about what does the church say on behalf of Christ. Peter, what do we believe? What is calling for faith and morals in this area? What has been revealed to us by God? Mary's Assumption, Mary's Immaculate Conception. What is grace? How do we understand it? Do you see, my brothers and sisters, how important this role of Peter is, that is the papacy? And why we need to understand what we believe? Let's face it, most people get that's the doorbell. Most people get up to a 12th grade Catholic education if they went to Catholic school, but not many people go to Catholic school. So if you go to public school and you receive religious education through prep, you get up to 6th or 7th grade, right? And can you really exhaust the entire teachings of the Roman Catholic Church? No. Then you say to yourself, I wonder if their mom and dad are teaching them to fill in all the blanks. I wonder if their mom and dad are taking them to Mass. I wonder if their mom and dad are taking them to confession. I wonder if their mom and dad are talking to them about this issue or that issue. Do you see? So I understand that maybe that's why I do these talks, is because I think we all need to understand our faith a little bit better. And hopefully Sunday homilies will give us more information, the things that we read and study, the catechism that we read, the things that we Google, helps us more and more. So the chair is more than a functional chair, whether it's at St. Mary's Church. So when you see that chair in our sanctuary that the priest celebrant sits on, remember it's more than just a chair, a piece of furniture at the sanctuary. Know that it's connected to the cathedral in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul in Philadelphia. Know that that chair is connected to the chair in Rome, where Peter's successor lives and preaches. Do you see the connect the dots? St. Mary's Church, Schwangsville, Saints Peter and Paul Cathedral, Philadelphia, St. Peter's Basilica, Rome. The chairs. And what does the chair mean? Teaching, sanctifying, governing in the name of Christ. Well, look at this book. This is called The Consecration to Saint Joseph. So our next box came in, so we'll be putting them out on the nice little table next to the piano. I think they're about a $20 donation that you could just put over in the candle box, and that would be great. And they are candles also for your use. I want to buy one, take one home to my house, and burn a candle as well. So it's nice to make sure that you really pray a 33-day consecration to St. Joseph. I'm really encouraging the men of our parish. Ladies, absolutely you could do this. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying I'm encouraging the men. So ladies, the man of your life, would you buy him this? The consecration to St. Joseph? 33-day consecration? And ask him to do this. How about your son? How about your brother? I say all this because we need good Catholic men. Good Catholic men. We need good Catholic men who stand up and protect the faith like St. Joseph did. Do you know that St. Joseph is the protector of the universal church? Did you know that? He's the protector of the universal church because he protected the Holy Family at Nazareth. The church there. He was the protector right there. Right? Isn't that the formulation of the church? So Joseph, who protected the Holy Family, is dubbed the protector of the universal church. When I say universal, I mean Catholic. He's the protector of the, well, there's only one church. I mean, I keep on trying to explain all these things, but then in my head, Jesus is saying to me, there's only one church. There's only one church. Absolutely, there's only one church. Of course, there's only one church. He's the patron of the one and only church. Right? That Jesus founded. All the other ecclesial communities are founded by somebody who broke away from the table because they did not like what Peter said. They want bye-byes. But they cannot claim to be a church. They have elements of the church, but they are not the church. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, I think we've learned this since we were kids, right? St. Joseph. There's a Latin phrase. Have you ever heard of it? Ita ad Joseph. Go to Joseph. Go to Joseph. He is the terror of demons. Oh, wow. He is the terror of demons. Because you know that Mary has her foot on that snake, the serpent, the devil. Absolutely. But Joseph, don't you go near his wife or his child. There'll be no reckoning. He will take care of the church. He's the protector of the church. So I hope that men can stand up as Catholic men to protect their family, to say on Sunday, we're going to church, we're going to Mass, and that's the end of it. We're going to Mass. I'm the father of this household. I have a responsibility. We're going to Mass. Because at the end, God is going to judge parents. God will judge parents if they raise their kids in the faith or not. And I'm not talking about raising them in the faith. Okay, be good, Johnny. No! Johnny's good because God made him. Not because you said, be good, Johnny. No, God made us good. That's why Johnny's good. Mom and dad have to form and educate their children in the ways of faith. There's only one faith. The Catholic faith. What do we believe? That's why mom and dads need to know the faith, because when Joey and Mary and Susie and Tommy ask them questions, mom and dad are not like, I don't know. Well, mom and dad, you need to know, because your kids are going to ask you these questions. And you need to protect the faith. Ita a Joseph. Go to Joseph. Go to Joseph, the protector of the Holy Family, the protector of the universal church, the terror of demons. March 19th and May 1st are the feasts of St. Joseph, right? March 19th is the feast or the solemnity of St. Joseph, spouse of Mary and foster father of Jesus. And May 1st, the St. Joseph the Worker. So on March 19th, we're going to have a beautiful Mass in honor of St. Joseph, March 19th at the 9 o'clock Mass. Hope you're coming. And then afterwards in Hedge Hall, named after Father Arthur T. Hedge, we'll have a little bit of a St. Joseph table. Have you ever had a St. Joseph table? St. Joseph table originated, I believe, in Sicily, where, of course, because St. Joseph's Day is a solemnity, it's not a day of Lent, it's a free day on the bingo card, you could have meat and sweets. So after Mass, we're going to go over to Hedge Hall and have a continental breakfast. We'll have some pastries, some zeppelis. You know what zeppelis are, don't you? The St. Joseph cake. Zeppelis and pastries and coffee and tea and juice. Should be nice. We'll have a St. Joseph statue over there, some candles and maybe some flowers, and we'll enjoy the beautiful solemnity of St. Joseph. Okay, everybody? Ita a Joseph. Go to Joseph.